Your character comes into a small room where there is a Asimar who is sitting across the table with kind of a hunched back, kind of grayish, dingy robes, sitting with a stack of papers and a quill. Thank you for coming down and agreeing to this interview. Just chronicling different information about the guild and citizens of Nicomoy.
Oh, it's no problem at all. It's a pleasure to be here.
Certainly, certainly. Now, if you can, for the record, just state your full name, or the name at least that you work under.
Oh, I'm Imeri Cirtas.
And what is it exactly that you do for the guild?
Well, I kind of do everything. I'm a celestial warlock, I guess you could say. I try to, I heal. I'm a pretty big healer. I pull DPS. I have been known to tank in a couple of missions, I guess.
And
I also kind of pay for everybody's train rides.
And when you are between missions, what is primarily that you do if you are at the guild hall? Some do the laundry, some do cooking and such. Is there anything in particular you do outside of these missions that you are proud of?
With the guild, I just try to volunteer to do whatever if anything needs to be done. I'm all around. I'll cook, I'll do laundry, but I'm also a mother, so I'm not really there all the time. I'm with my husband and my son a lot.
And what is it that they do? Are they part of the guild, or are they just adjacent and living in Nicomoy?
Oh, they're just adjacent. My son is 12. He goes to school. And my hubby, bless his heart, he works and picks up the slack while I'm off doing my missions.
And had you always intended to be a sort of adventurer when you were younger? Is that something that you feel your son might feel drawn to?
Well, I kind of hope he does, I guess. As long as he doesn't really get too hurt. I don't want to see him get hurt or anything. But it's, my dad, he was a warlock before me, and he had this pact, so I was kind of like born into it and thrown to it at a young age. Because my dad, when he passed away, part of his pact got passed on to me, which is why I had it for a while. And thanks to my Lord Coddle, I was able to break it, thankfully.
And you still have some capabilities from this pact, even with it broken. Have you brokered a different sort of pact for that, or was it something somehow maintained regardless?
It's more like one of them you could give but not really take away things, Like, I already knew, because the only thing I really picked up from that was I could kind of read minds. I could speak telepathically with people. And, I kind of know how to do it, so it's not like he could just be like, oh, well, you know what? You broke it, so it's gone now.
So the one you had a pact with was not constantly refreshing your energy, more access to knowledge, and I've met a few. And so,
but my new pact is so much better. Like, I'm in with Coddle, he's my god, and he's so good, he treats everybody right. I've been able to heal because of it.
And yet you have a pact with them rather than being a cleric. Is that something that you experience any sort of difficulties dealing with some of their acolytes and worshippers? Any oddities that you encounter from time to time?
Not really. I got my little pal Coddle here, or Nahiri, as you can see. He's my little Quaddle right here on my arm. This is like how I communicate with Coddle, so it's kind of nice having like this little guy here to help. Kind of takes all the all the clerics and everything, and they see that I too am a follower of Coddle, and we're all fighting for good. We're all lawful good. There really is an issue with us.
Certainly. With some there are, and with others it's a bit more broad. And as you have a pact with them, is your faith highly tied to that, or is it more that they bestow the power because they see you as a good agent, regardless of your beliefs?
I wasn't really faithful to Coddle until we were out doing a mission for Kamar, and then I kind of stumbled upon the religion, and I kind of devoted my life to him, and he helped break my pact with the Great Old One, and that's kind of what got me in service to him. I kind of devoted a new pact to him to break the old one.
I see. And this Great Old One hasn't sent agents of their own to hound you or anything of that sort. They've just left you alone since then?
So far, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't rule it out. You never know with those type people.
Indeed, I've met a few who were a tad more possessive, even if angry with their former pupils, as it were.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't rule it out at all.
So, what first drew you to the guild itself, instead of setting out on your own or finding adventurers in other different places?
Well, I kind of caught on to it. The guild's kind of become famous. You know, you had adventures such as our owner, Nulasag, and Nessie the bartender, and then you had the whole generation before, me, of like Azreen, Ominous, Mocha. It kind of grew, and I kind of looked at it as a club. Like, you got all these great adventurers here, and I got my family now. If I'm gonna be safe and go out and do this job, why would I not do it with these guys?
Which is a fair point. There are some individuals who are more in it for the fame of it rather than doing the most good overall.
Yeah, I mean, I get a lot of the people in there are all about the money, but I want to help people.
Admirable goals. Speaking of, what do you see as your goals, in addition to doing good, but moving forward with the guild? Things that you wish to see it continue doing or expand into, things you think that you bring uniquely beyond your combat prowess.
Just my personality. I see everybody in the guild, and I'm such a kind-hearted person, from what I hear people say. And it, like, I kind of wish people would be a little bit more like me. And we go out and do these missions, and we're like, I'll do it for free. Like, I don't need to get paid for these missions. Getting paid's good because, I got my family and all. But at the same time, I'm just out to help people. I don't really care about the gold when somebody's life is in danger. Their life outweighs that gold. Which is why most times I take it and I donate it to a good cause, whether, it be somebody like Kamar's wife starting up a business. I donated to her. I gave, my earnings for when we went to McHale Island to Paul. He's this little crab guy. And I just want to see people get better.
And if the guild were, for some reason, unable to provide the funds that care for you and your family, at least they would offer help in some other regard. But if they were separated for some reason, you have other skills that you feel could aid you in, at least temporarily, making do, correct?
Oh, absolutely. I could go work for I could go live with the Quaddle. They'll gladly take me in if need be. I'm a healer that, doctors are always needed.
Certainly. And as far as the guild being as large as it is, how well do you know your fellow members, and beyond just simply their names and relying on them for assistance, how have you interacted with some of them?
Some more than others, I guess. Like, you got Ominous, who I've really only gone out with a couple times, so I kind of know him, I kind of don't. there's others that I've gone out with a lot, like, Yinli, Mortimer, I've gone out with a cup, Oka, and oh god, Moxie. Moxie is probably my best friend there. We do a lot together. We hang out outside of the guild. We'll go to amusement parks with our families. We spend a lot of time.
And do you know, with regard to some of your newer compatriots, purposes that they are here, or has it simply just not been much time in that regard? The guild is constantly, from what I understand it, growing and expanding to help more of the continent.
Oh, right, yeah. I mean, it's ever growing, which is a good thing. More people, the better. The more people we could bring in to help cause this, to help aid us in, the main goal of the guild, which is to, help people. Seeing as that's what most of our jobs is, like, kind of wish we could get rid of the alcohol, because I'm totally against it. But, like, the growth is good. It really is good.
And why is that with regard to the alcohol? As I understand it, it can prove dangerous in the wrong purposes, but it is also useful for sterilizing things.
I mean, in a medical rate, sure. But, like, for a drinking right, I am totally 100% against it. It's just an ideal of mine. I've never been for it at all. My dad drank, and, well, he left us, so.
And have you learned where he went, his final fate, as it were?
Well, I know because the great old one caught me that he passed. I don't know when, where, or anything like that. All I know is his pack-poon found me because that was part of their deal.
And how long ago was this?
Oh god, I was still relatively young. I mean, I'm a wood elf, so like 80. It was before I was really an adult.
And how long since your birth to when he left, and then later perished?
He left when I was really young, like 25. I was really, really young.
Have you...
I know, 25 to most people, but to a wood elf...
Yeah, it's fairly young. I understand.
Really young.
Have you considered the possibilities of what he may have done, who he may have been with in that time? It is quite a number of years. Has anyone reached out to tell you anything about him, other than the Great Old One?
Honestly, like, I kind of want to, it kind of upsets me that he left us, but at the same time, I tried to, like, hope something good happened to him. Like, I guess it's just my personality, I don't, like, when he left, I hope he found better. Like, if he clearly didn't think we were what he wanted, so hopefully he found what he wanted later. I've never actually cared to look at all because he left us, so that wasn't it. But, like,
and that was not something that you discussed with your mother as far as if he had given any reasons or anything, or did he just leave without word?
As far as I know, he just left without word.
Curious. Still, there are always all sorts of different walks of life and approaches to parenting.
Yes, very true. As I said, I hope he found something. If he didn't, he didn't. It's tough for me to say.
You have accepted his death and his fate, whatever it may have been. So you are at least comfortable with the idea of death as it is. Which must come as somewhat of a unusual interaction at times, seeing as you have, as you mentioned, Mortimer and Yin Li dealt with guild members who are, of a sort, defying that death one way or another, whether it's their choice or not. They are undead. Is that something that was taking a bit of getting used to, or just not really an issue?
Not really an issue with me. I mean, I'm a warlock. Like, I know there's, I tap into my own magic. I know there's necromancy and stuff out there. So it's never really bothered me at all. As long as they're not evil, they're not trying to wreak havoc, I'm good with it.
And if they showed signs that they were, but weren't necessarily too far gone yet.
Yeah, I mean, as long as people could be saved, then I would hope Kato would bless them with his light and save them.
I would hope at least that it would be a, careful measurement of that light. As I understand it, many undead are quite reactive to radiant power. Not all,
That's
though.
very true. That's true. I mean, yeah, but definitely it's not an issue with me. I understand it.
And as far as you said, evil and those who may be beyond that point of bringing back, have you encountered any sorts of suspicious or unusual things in the guild or outside in your interactions that have ever stirred that sort of sensation? Individuals you may have met on an adventure who needed further supervision or the like.
Me and Moxie are working on tracking down Loki to the best of our abilities.
And how has...
He's kind of a trickster god.
How have things gone in that particular regard? I imagine
not very good.
Bit difficult.
Yes, so far he's been evading us every turn. We've been kind of on his tail ever since he kind of destroyed a tier church. It kind of got us, barking up his tree, I guess you could say.
Indeed. Well, this has been quite illuminating. Do you have any questions for me before I finish up these reports?
I mean, not really. I mean, this has been a great time. I'd love to come back. If you
perhaps
would like to have me.
I certainly have a full roster, as it were, to look through, but at some point or another, even simply just to talk.
Oh, absolutely. Plus, to get more word out there. Plus, I'm sure this helps your viewers or your listeners.
Yes, well, perhaps. Much of these will be poured over and kept as they are for some time, and perhaps compiled at some point, with perhaps a bit of flavoring that doesn't go beyond the truth. But it certainly has been a pleasure.
Oh, definitely. I've loved this. This is my first actual interview, so congrats.
Well, it's been my first interview in the guild as well, so yet we'll be curious to see how things progress from here.
Right. Yeah. I mean, hopefully this gets more people into the Firebreathing Kittens and gets you out there and us out there. This could be mutually beneficial.
Indeed. He would set the quill down and just rise and offer a hand.
And Imeri shakes it.
And he'd a little bow and just motion to the door that is behind you.
Well, thank you for having me. And if anybody ever wants to stop by Sukal Imports, right around the guild hall. It's a bakery / confectionery.
Certainly. Be seeing you around.
Alright, thank you. And Imeri takes the headset off and walks out the door.